What's up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming back at you guys with my Salamangreat deck profile for March. Um, there is still a couple of cards I'm missing, I'm not even gonna lie. But I honestly, for some weird reason, just like a pure Salamangreat deck. I just prefer it to be the fire engine that it is and go from there. I don't mind the Lady Debug combos. I think they're really good assets to the deck if you're playing on a more competitive scene. I do just want to say I will purchase Lady Debugs as soon as I find some that are available. But till then, this is pretty much where I stand with my deck. It's just pure Salamangreat in hand traps. Alright, so let's get into it. So for the monster lineup, I'm running 3 copies of Salamangreat Gazelle. I'm running 3 copies of Salamangreat Spiny. 3 copies of Salamangreat Foxy. 1 copy each of Salamangreat Jaguar, Salamangreat Falco, and Salamangreat Mole. For my hand traps of choice, I'm running 3 copies of Effect Veiler and 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So that is my monster lineup. For my spell lineup, I'm running 3 copies of Salamangreat Circle, 2 copies of Will of the Salamangreat, 1 copy of Salamangreat Sanctuary, 2 copies of Fusion of Fire, 1 copy each of Raigeki, Darkholm, Monster Reborn, Super Polymerization, and Foolish Burial. So that is it for the spells. Now let's move on to the traps. I'm running 3 copies of Salamangreat Roar, 2 copies of Salamangreat Gift, 2 copies of Salamangreat Rage, and 2 copies of Goes in Match. I was going to say Rival Warlords, but either way, that still kind of works out. So that is it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra. I'm running 3 copies of Salamangreat Bow Links, 3 copies of Salamangreat Sunlit Wolf, 2 copies of Salamangreat Heat Leo, 2 copies of Salamangreat Mirage Stelio, 2 copies of Salamangreat Violet Chimera. Oh, I think everybody's off a little. Let's move over. Okay, there we go. Then 1 copy each of Hita the Flame Charmer, Gaga Cowboy, and Abyss Dweller. So that is pretty much it for the extra deck and pretty much the main core of the deck itself. So let's talk about it. So the 3 biggest components of this deck, of course, are the Salamangreat Gazelle and the Salamangreat Spiny. So if you want to know what these cards do, Salamangreat Gazelle, when it's normal or special, can be special summon from your hand. When you send a Salamangreat card to your a Salamangreat monster to your graveyard. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send a Salamangreat card from your deck to your graveyard, except for Salamangreat Gazelle, and you only use each effect once per turn. So, with Gazelle, it is a great way to set up your combos. It's a great way to finish combos, and it's a great way to keep combos going. Now, in combination with Salamangreat Spiny, it is just a good first turn setup. Salamangreat Spiny has the ability to discard itself to give a Salamangreat monster on the field 500 additional attack points. When it's if you control a Salamangreat monster, you can summon it from your graveyard, but it is banished when it leaves the field, and you can only use the effect of Salamangreat Spiny once per turn. So in combination, you can drop a Salamangreat Salamangreat Spiny on a monster, and because you discarded it, you can summon Gazelle. Gazelle will search and send a Salamangreat to the graveyard, and then you can summon Spiny. And with the way these two work, like I said, it's a great combination deck, and it works well with a lot of the other components. So the next component to talk about is Salamangreat Foxy. A lot of people are running 3 of Foxy, because Foxy has the ability to excavate the top of the deck and add a Salamangreat card from your other 3 cards that you'll excavate to your hand. Yes, it will send the rest of the to the deck and not the graveyard, which kind of would have been even more broken. But the way you work it out with Foxy is you pretty much want to get into either Gazelle or Spiny. That way you can discard You can get this card Spiny, then special summon Spiny off of Foxy, and then you can do combos from there. The other effect of Foxy is to remove spells and traps, which isn't a bad thing either. It's a great setup to special summon himself from the graveyard and get a lot of the combo plays going. A lot of people aren't running Foxer, which is in a similar situation, but I think for the most part, because of Foxy's excavation ability, it's just a lot more reliable, a lot more resourceful. So we go on to the wonders of the Salamangreats in the main deck, and Jaguar, it proves itself to be one of those most reliable monsters. Although I like a nice 1800 attacker, and his archetype doesn't have a 19 beat stick, the fact that Jaguar can give gets piercing damage to itself, does help. And then on top of that, the ability to send a Salamangreat card in your graveyard to your deck, and its special summon itself helps cycle resources, especially when it comes to Mirage Stalio, Falco, and a lot of the other cards there. It was a great combination with Spiny because then you can send Spiny back to the deck and not have to worry about the Spiny getting banished. And you can use its abilities and stuff like that for link summoning and stuff like that. The link summoning and seed plays. So then we move on to Falco, and Falco is pretty much just to help you get a lot of your spells and traps to the board. Most people run one Falco because, well, the recyclability factor of it. You can recycle it with Jaguar. You can send it with you can send it with Gazelle. You can set up plays off of Spiny and Foxy. So you have a lot of your advantages here and there. And then its ability, I believe, you can target one Salamangreat in your graveyard. Send this card to graveyard, and set on the field. If you turn graveyard, you can send one Salamangreat monster you control, except for Falcon, back to your hand. And you can use special summon. Yeah, so it's just combo plays. Bring it to the field, and you can combo it with the Jaguar and make rank 4s. Then the one Mole. The Mole I'm only really using because it's a pot of Avarice. And that's like the only big factor of it, because then you can banish it and go from there. I wanted to run multiples of Falco, Jaguar, and Mole, but I just feel like the one-ofs are just enough. There's nothing really big or promising from it. And for the most part, if I can get into my Baylinks off of one-ofs, then that's perfectly fine there. So that's the Salamangreats in the main. Now let's talk about the hand traps. So everyone's variation of hand traps is completely different, because I can't afford Thanos Dragon, and there's no way I'm getting Bellas. So I just said, well, I have Veilers, I have Ash Blossoms, I can even put in, what is it? For the mirror match, I'm siding in Ghost Reapers, and then I can play around with Ash Blossoms. I can play around with Ghost Ogres. So the hand trap variations just depends on what you have access to and what combinations you want to play in your deck. For me, I'm just playing the Effect Veilers, I'm playing the Ash Blossoms. And because of how this deck works, I can recycle my Ash Blossoms. I can't recycle Veilers, but Veilers are just here because I don't have Improvidence. So that is the monsters. Let's go on to the spells, because I think honestly this is one of the most reliable of the Salamangreat spells, next to Will of the Salamangreat. So Will of the Salamangreat, in my opinion, is a busted spell. You can send it to the graveyard to such summon monsters who, up to the number of a link monster that was used, a monster who shared the same name as it as link material. Then, because you can get a lot of plays off of, what is it? You can get this locks out of Leo, and you can lock out of Sunlit Wolf. During the turn, while this card's on the field, you can activate it to such summon a Salamangreat monster from a graveyard. So it's a great, it's really, really good, but it is specifically archetype based, but it's still really, really good. And then you have Salamangreat Circle, which either is your Rhoda, or it protects your monster from being, unaffected by monster effects until the end of the turn, except for its own. So it has it's pretty much a great forbidden. It's a great protection card. It's a great search card, all in one. So that's the two of them. And then we're going to move on to Salamangreat Sanctuary and Infusion of Fire. I think a lot of people just run into one of, because you have stuff like Falco and Foxy that can just help. Well, Falco, because I think Foxy doesn't do that. No. So yeah, it's just Falcon that you really get the benefits of setting cards and stuff. And the fact that this really just used to get the additional link summoning effects off your monsters. The Fusion of Fire is just busted. Fusion summoning for your monster, not really having to worry about the issues of searching for it because it is treated as a Salamangreat card, so you can send it to the graveyard and have it set by Falco and then flip it to go into the only fusion monster in this deck has, and one of the most busted fusion monsters that I've seen so far. I mean, I've known a lot of busted fusion monsters. We have Construct back in the TCG, and Jesus Christ, yeah. But Fusion of Fire, Salamangreat Sanctuary, they're okay cards. I feel this is more obviously the better, and it just helps with combo plays. So, I did not want to forget about the secondary effect of Sanctuary. I mean, it's just not that real good. In my opinion, it might be good for some others. And then a lot of my one-ofs are just pretty much standalones. As we all know, Raigeki, Dark Hole are just monster removal. Monster Reborn can bring everyone back from the graveyard. The Silver Memorization is just to help in case I can't get to the Fusion and Fires fast enough. And if I'm playing Mirror Match, bam, Super Poly, take your monster, hit my monster, um, make a Violet Chimera that can't be checked. And then Foolish Burial is just a speed up factor. Because let's be honest, if we had the grass is greener, it'd be 60 card Salamangreats. And yeah. So that is the spells. Let's move on to the traps. And one of the most broken setups has to be just the fact that because of a lot of the monsters in this deck, running multiples of these does help me. It may not help everybody, but it helps me. You have draw and discard power off of Salamangreat Gift. You have an Icarus attack in the form of Salamangreat Rage. And then you have Solemn Judgment in the form of Roar. All are great cards. They do have additional effects, but they require you to have Salamangreats who were link summoned using monsters of the same name as material, which this deck does not fare too far from. And I mean, you can plop a Banelinks on top of a Banelinks and still go off. So yeah, these cards are just really amazing. And then the thing about Roar is Roar can reset itself, but it does banish itself after the second use. But for the most part, honestly, if you combo the deck right, you can get these cards off and going and not have to worry about that. And then the only other card in the trap lineup is that, Gozen match. And for some people, it's always been a debacle. Gozen over Rivalry, Rivalry over Gozen. With this archetype, you can run both. I mean, you can just set up your deck for Fire and Cyverse, and you do pretty well. I mean, you can even pop your own card and then be okay with it, thanks to Foxy, or you run Twin Twisters and stuff like that, and not have to worry about Gozen match until it's your opponent's turn, or find a way to shut them off and then go off. So, yeah, the Gozen matches are here for that. Now, let's move on to the extra deck. Balinks, Sunlit Wolf, Heat Leo, Mirage Stalio, and Violet Chimera. So, let's talk about the 5 extra deck cards that this archetype has. 3 Link monsters, 1 Fusion, 1 Exceed. It's so funny how an archetype that really like this just came with all of its essentials at one go. The structure deck, and then having the main set have all of the things that it needs. So Violet Chimera is one of the monsters that is needed for the OTK, and it combines with Heat Leo in terms of giving the attack differences and stuff like that, so that this thing can be a raging monster, can be a raging powerhouse, and give you the OTK. The Mirage Style Leo is a level 3 Link monster. Cyverse needs 2 level 3 monsters. When it's summoned, you can detach. When it's summoned, you can detach material from it to summon a Salamangreat monster from your graveyard in defense, but you can only summon fire monsters after the turn is activated, which is perfectly fine because, well, everything in the deck is fire. Even the ritual monster. Yes, this deck has a ritual monster, and it's fire too. So, yeah, it's a really good monster. When it's used for the link summon of a Salamangreat monster, you can compulsory evacuation device a card on the field. So that does help with a lot of plays there and a lot of options. We have Heat Leo, who I believe is because I can read one from right here. So when it's Link Summon, you can target a card your opponent in your spell and trap zone and then shuffle it back in their deck. Then, once a turn during the main phase, if this card uses a Heat Leo as material, you can target one face-up monster in your opponent's side field and one monster in your graveyard. And the attack of the first target becomes equal to the attack of the other target till the end of the turn. And because of the change in points, it helps with Violet Chimera. And then Chimera gets its ability, and then just stuff goes crazy. So that's like the whole big combo between Heat Leo and Violet Chimera. Then you have Sunlit Wolf. Sunlit Wolf is pretty much a recovery monster. When it's Link Summoned using a card that shares the same name as it as material, you can you can add a spell or trap card from your graveyard to your hand. Then when this card is Link Summoned, oh no, when a monster is normal or special summoned to a pointer this card points to in the zone, you got a fire monster from your graveyard to your hand. But for the rest of the turn, you can't normal summon, set, or special summon a monster with the same name that you added. You pretty much use this to help circulate your Ash Blossoms for the most part. So you just summon someone to the field, you go get your Ash Blossom, and that's how the recovery. And it's a really good recovery too with Sunlit Wolf. A lot of people love it. It's like literally the most expensive rare that we have right now in the current metagame. So, because it's just really that good and it recycles one of the best hand traps right now in the game. And then we look at Bale Link. So Bale Links, when it's Link summoned, you add Sanctuary to your hand. Then if it's in a graveyard, you can banish it to protect your Link monster, your Salamangreat monster, from being destroyed by a battle or card effect. This does help with protection. It helps with a lot of the key combos, and it clearly it's one of the Link monsters that this archetype has that doesn't have an additional combination to use a monster that shares the same name. There is one more Link monster we're missing. It's the other cute little adorable bunny that is part of the archetype. It's also a Link one as well. I forget what the conditions are, its effects and stuff. I have profiled it before, but it's just one of those things that you look out for because they're getting a lot more support coming soon. So do look out for that. Now let's look on to the rest of the monsters. I'm running one Hita, the Flame Charmer. I think this is honestly a really good Link monster because you can use it during mirror match to take your opponent's stuff and then use it for your benefit. And then when she's destroyed by battle card effect, she is Witch of the Black Forest. And that's a really good combination to look for your fire monsters, especially when you want to get your, your essentials together. I was considering running 2 and maybe like getting, not even running 2 Violet Chimeras, maybe just the one of, just because I wanted to fit in such a really amazing card. And, the other factor is, well, this may not apply to Salamangreat, but she can be very reliable to her own archetype as a searcher. So, whenever you can search for those particular cards. And she is treated as a familiar possessed monster. So, just a little case there. Other than that, there's not really much to talk about Hita. And then I just fit in what I could. The last 2 monsters, of course, are Abyss Dweller and Gaga Cowboy. You could fit in Exciton Knight if you need. It's just some things that I wanted to fit in because I'm running, Falcon and Jaguar. How much usefulness I can get out of them, I figured, well, let's try to get those rank 4s together as well. So that is pretty much it for the entire lineup of this deck profile. I hope you guys do enjoy. Do watch out because hopefully when I do get these Lady Debugs, it'll be a lot different. And then you guys can talk about how bad the Lady Debug setup is. I'm also looking to the Flame Buffalo because I heard that's a really good card too for this deck because it's Cyverse, it's a discard outlet, and a draw power. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it helps out tremendously. Do expect some more videos to come soon. Don't forget to smash that like button and that bell. And I will see you guys next time. HDJ signing out. Take care.